Hello and welcome back to my channel. On this video, I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I hope to read in the month of October of 2023. And if you've been following along, you know that I always pick some books in advance of what I'm trying to read. And then I also pick 5 books using my alphabet challenge. These are books that are from my Kindle backlist because I want to keep chipping away at that as well. And I pick a random letter from the alphabet and pick 5 books that start with that letter. Now, I am restarting my alphabet challenge because I went through all of the letters over the past several months. And so this is the first video where I'm gonna reboot that. And all of those books add up to at least 23 books because I'm trying to read 23 books a month, every month of the year 2023. So let's dive into what I have on my list for this month. Now, several of these books are repeats, things that I have been trying to read in previous months. Some are also new. And then I also have various challenges and things I'm trying to complete. And so you'll see some books from those as well. So first up, as part of my fall bucket list, I wanted to revisit, both in reading and film, the Twilight series. Now, I've only ever read the first Twilight book, and I think I read it, let's see, I can look in my Goodreads here. I read it for the first time in 2008. So it's been quite some time since I have revisited this, and I only got through the first book, and I thought it would be really fun to dive in and reread the series again and also rewatch the movies. So I am gonna start with book 1, and we'll see how far I get. Maybe I'll move on to book 2 as well. The second book that I have on my list is one that I've had on my list before. This is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. It's called City of Bones. I actually purchased the box set of this series, and I've really been wanting to dive into it, and I just have not gotten around to it yet. So I'm really excited to look at that. This is kind of an urban fantasy, which I don't read a lot of, so I'm excited to try that out. I'm also adding to my list a book called Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. And I actually have several books by Leigh Bardugo on my list this month. This is an author that I've really enjoyed. And this is basically the story. It's kind of a dark academia book of a woman who is entering into Yale's freshman class. And I think part of what she is there to do is, let's see. Yeah, she's supposed to be kind of monitoring Yale's secret societies. And I've just heard amazing things about this book. There is also a second book. I think this is a duology, or maybe it's meant to continue after that. The second book is Hellbent. So I've been wanting to read Ninth House forever, and I thought October would be a great month to do it. I am also going to pick up the next 4 books in the Kay Scarpetta series by Patricia Cornwell. I am now up to books 14, 15, 16, and 17. So book number 14 is called Predator. And then book number 15 is called Book of the Dead. The 16th book in the series is called Scarpetta. And then the 17th book in the series is called The Scarpetta Factor. And if you've been following along, you know this is a series about a coroner, like a medical examiner who solves crimes. And I have read a couple of the synopses of these upcoming books, and I think that this is one of those series where people die off and they come back from the dead, not in a zombie type way, but kind of like they were in a protection, from criminals. And so they had to tell everyone they were dead, but then they weren't really dead. There's a lot of kind of interesting ups and downs with all the characters in this series. And I feel like there's some pretty major stuff that's going to be coming up in these next 4 books. This is getting into the part of the series I have not read yet. So this is all new to me. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens there. Also on my fall bucket list was to read a new book called You Again by Kate Goldbeck. I've heard kind of mixed reviews on this one, but I was definitely sucked in by the description, which said it was a retelling of When Harry Met Sally, which is a great film that I love. And I thought it would be really fun to pick up. Plus, I just thought the cover of this book was really beautiful. So I was able to get this from the library, and I'm gonna add that to my list for October as well. I'm also adding the latest book in the Will Trent series by Karen Slaughter. It is called After That Night. The Will Trent series is a spin-off of another series that Karen Slaughter wrote, and I have been following both of those series, which altogether are probably at least 20 books for years and years and years. I love Karen Slaughter. I think that she writes really dark, psychological thrillers that I have just really enjoyed over time. And so I'm excited to read this latest installment in her series. If you were to start this, I would definitely start from the beginning, and I would start from the series that is before the Will Trent series, and I think it's called Grant County, and start from the very beginning because it's a really good one. I also added to my list the latest John Marrs book. It's called The Marriage Act, and John Marrs writes speculative fiction. And I believe this is a book that is basically about if there was a law put into place in Britain that was really like heavily encouraging and or forcing people to be married, what would that look like? And so I love good John Marrs. Looking forward to picking that up. For a long time, I have also been wanting to start the Red Rising saga series by Pierce Brown. First book is called Red Rising, and I have not had a chance to do this. I think this is a book that is a bit dystopian. I'm not sure if it's YA or adult, but I also bought this kind of box set of books, and there's a new one coming out soon, and I have this on audio. I also have it in physical copy, so I'm excited to dive into this. I'm hoping I can get into this series this month. I also added a romance to my list, the latest by Elena Armas. It's called The Long Game, and I have read a couple of her other romances and really enjoyed them. This one is, it just came out maybe a couple of weeks ago as I record this, and I believe it's set in a small town and it involves a soccer team, so I'm excited to pick it up. We'll see if I like it. Okay, I also added, as I mentioned, more Leigh Bardugo to my list. The first three, or the only three books in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And I believe this is Shadow and Bone is the first book. And then Siege and Storm is the second book. And then I think the third book is Ruin and Rising. Yeah, that's the third book. And also something I have as a box set, also something I have on audio. Really looking forward to diving into those. Okay, also on my list, a nonfiction book called Gonzo Capitalism, subtitled How to Make Money in an Economy That Hates You by Chris Gilbo. And I've read a lot of this author before, always enjoy his work. He has a long-running podcast and is very well known in kind of the online business community. And this is something I was able to get both on audio book and from my library, a hard copy. So excited to dive into that. And then a few more that are repeats that I'm hoping to get to. I actually have started, but I have not been able to get all the way through the third book in the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer Armentrout. It is called The Crown of Gilded Bones. And I'm not even sure how far into this I am, like maybe only 10%. I was not able to make a ton of progress. I think it's like 600 pages. So I would like to dig into that and hopefully finish it in October. I am also still trying to finish up Trapper Road. This is the 6th book in the Stillhouse Lake series that is basically a book. It was originally started by Rachel Kane. This is co-authored with a woman named Carrie Ryan. And this is a book series that focuses on a woman who is married to a serial killer but does not know that until he is caught. And then she realizes that this was what her husband was doing kind of behind her back. And she becomes almost like a private investigator. She finds missing people. And this book, I feel like I haven't gotten to it because it's not available on audio. And I keep just struggling to kind of like find time to get through the ebook because I certainly go through audiobooks a lot faster. So I'm putting that back on my list, hoping I get to it. I also still have not gotten to The Will of the Many. This is the first book in the Hierarchy series by James Islington. Also kind of a dark academia book. I thought dark academia would be a nice theme for October, given it's a little bit more of a spooky month. And this is a book I've heard just amazing things about. It's also quite long. And so I do have it on audio, hoping to get to that this month as well. And then I will continue to try and read The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This is another one that I have on audio and I have it on ebook. And I am really hoping to dive into this one soon as well. I've heard great things about it. And I believe this is a duology, or at least there's a second book in the series that's come out. And I think it would be really fun to dive into that as well. So I think altogether that's about 20 books. And then I'm going to add another 5 to my list with the alphabet challenge. So let me go ahead and pull up my Kindle here and we will see what book, or what letter rather, I pick out of my little container here. I'm going to sort alphabetically. And I have added back in all of my little letter pieces of paper that I put into this container. And we'll see if I get one maybe that I haven't had for a while. Okay, The letter I chose is, ooh, I don't know if, I think this is a W. Let me see how I did these before. No? It's an M. Based on the order of the other ones. This is an M. So let me look in the M's in my Kindle and see what I can choose here. I have already picked the first one. It's a Lucy Score novel called Maggie Moves On. I have really loved reading Lucy Score, and so this is definitely one that I am going to add to my to-read list. Okay. And then I am also going to read probably should scan through these before I start picking. There's a lot of good ones I want to pick. Okay, I'm also going to pick Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, another one that I've just heard incredible things about, and I've wanted to read for a while. And I've read a couple other books by her and just absolutely love them. So I'm going to pick that one as well. Let's see. I'm still scanning through to see what all is in here. I'm going to read a book that's been on my list for a really long time. It's called Meg and Joe, and it's part of a series called the March Sisters books, and it is based off of Little Women, which I have read another retelling of Little Women earlier this year, and I love Little Women, so I'm adding that to my list as well. That sounds like a really fun fall read. And let's see here. I have a lot of books that start with M. Okay, I just scanned through them all, so now I'm coming back up to see what other two I want to pick. And okay. Ooh, this is really hard. There's a bunch of really good ones. I am also going to choose, I'm going to choose a Kristen Hanna called Magic Hour. I have no idea what it's about. Let's take a look, see what I can find out here. It says, in the rugged Pacific Northwest lies the Olympic National Forest, nearly 1 million acres of impenetrable darkness and impossible beauty. From deep within this old-growth forest, a 6-year-old girl appears. Speechless and alone, she offers no clue as to her identity and no hint of her past. And then there's a child psychiatrist who is trying to work with this little girl. Totally up my alley. So I'm gonna pick that one. Add that to my list here. Okay, and then I need one more. There's a couple in here, there's several in here actually that I've already read, so I'm trying to avoid those even if I want to reread them. Some of them look good to me. I am also going to pick the Marlow Murder Club. And let me take a look at this as well. This is about a 77-year-old whiskey-drinking crossword puzzle author living her best life in a dilapidated mansion on the outskirts of Marlow. And then I believe she gets pulled into some kind of case, some kind of murder case. And she has a couple of sidekicks, and they become the Marlow Murder Club. So this is kind of like a cozy mystery, I think. And that sounds like fun for October. All right, I'm gonna add that book to my collection as well. And just double checking here, I think that is my 5, but let me just check. Okay, so I picked 5 books that start with the letter M. I've got 20 books on my original list. I hope you'll check back at the end of this month and see what exactly I am able to actually complete by the end of October. And until then, happy reading.